obviously, first of all, I would just say thank you very much for coming on. Obviously, for anyone that doesn't know, obviously we only sort of met each other sort of the other day. Obviously, met each other, that internet sort of scheduling up. But yeah, we only sort of crossed paths about a week or two ago. So obviously, I know who you are, but if for anyone that doesn't know, just please introduce yourself, what it is that you do, and yeah, give everyone an outline.
Yeah, awesome. So my name is Alex Barbas. If you can't tell from the accent, I am from Australia, and I have my own agency, but I'm more focused now on helping people who have their own agency, whether you've got a team or whether you're a solo agency owner, basically through your sales cycle, right? So taking you from that first meeting or that first call all the way through to a close. So I've basically been teaching a handful of students that, getting some really, really good results. Had about 6 or 7 people over the last week land their first client. So yeah, I've kind of found that as an area that is, something that's it's a bit of a gap in the market. So yeah, helping people transition through that process is what I really do.
Cool. So just talk to me a bit more sort of about your agency first of all. How did you sort of stumble across that sort of online platform, and how did you sort of transition into? I'm guessing at some point you sort of worked like a 9 to 5, or sort of talk to me about your experience, how you've actually got to sort of where you are now.
Yep, perfect. So I actually studied construction and economics at uni and finished that in the end of 2016. I then started my Masters of Marketing over in Melbourne. And at that point, I was working for Nike at the head office there. So I was in their customer service team. And then a few months later, then got promoted to the head of customer service in Australia and New Zealand, and then shifted into their account space as well. Thereafter, I was kind of a little bit stagnant and kind of wanted to transition into their marketing team, but working for Nike and trying to crack into their marketing team, it's pretty difficult. There's very rare opportunities. So I then started to look at other options, and knew that obviously digital marketing was out there, and started to do a little bit more research and actually started doing some drop shipping.
Okay.
So that was only, probably 6 or so months, and actually
how did that go? Sorry, let me just because I love hearing about everyone's different experiences, because you get some people that are like drop shipping. You get how did that sort of go about, and how did, because I've also fucked around with drop shipping as well, so it's interesting to hear that.
I mean, well, funny you ask, because the drop shipping was actually like a way to raise capital for Amazon FBA. So it was kind of like, all right, well, we'll do drop shipping to get into FBA. And the drop shipping was, overall it was successful, right? I think I made about 17 or 18 grand over about 4 months.
Okay.
Revenue was about 45 US, 45 AUD or 45 US. I can't remember off the top of my head.
Okay.
So yeah, it was pretty good margin, but the amount of work that I was doing for drop shipping was just obscene, right? So I was up at, I was still studying my masters, still working at Nike head office, head customer service 9 to 5, plus doing drop shipping. It was a lot. It was probably far too much. So I would be getting up, 6, 7 o'clock, would either work out or just jump straight into, drop shipping into, orders would come overnight.
Yeah.
We'd be walking to work and updating, replying to customer emails, putting stuff on Instagram, reaching out to influencers, doing stuff on Facebook, looking at new product, blah, blah, blah. There's a lot in that, that you have to do.
What was you selling, if you don't mind me asking?
So I was doing unofficial merchandise, right?
Okay.
So all the suppliers had all their documentation. I asked this before I started selling it, because I knew that there were there's legality behind selling official merchandise.
Yeah.
So all their documents were in order. So I only had a handful of suppliers really, which was good. So anyway, I would go to work, and I would be at work, and orders would come through and customer emails would come through. So then on my lunch break, I was going through and emailing them, and then putting up new content for the Instagram, and again reaching out to influencers. And then I would get home, I'd have to study for uni, then work on the drop shipping until about 3 a.m. So I was just doing this thing constantly, and especially doing it as a one-person show, like you do burn out, right?
Yeah.
And it is important if you're going to get into drop shipping. Like I would say, like, get a business partner, right? Like get someone who knows a little bit more about it. Plus, of course, I was doing all the ads, and it was just, I had a web developer who was really great, and I still keep in contact with him. But yeah, I wouldn't go back to it because the margins aren't great, and there's just such a huge volume of work. And then at the end of the day, I was like, look, this just isn't worth it. Like, I'm putting in so many hours. I could definitely reduce my hours and try and get more, capital elsewhere, right? So, I guess that was mid last year, I believe, or sort of it was the end of 2017. And then middle of last year or early last year, I then was looking for a new job, and actually got a job at probably the biggest digital agency in Australia, if not certainly the second biggest. They're called Megaphone Marketing, in their sales team. Learnt a lot about, more so in sales and more so in digital marketing, and then started my own digital marketing agency this year. So I assist, real estate agents, getting them, potential clients. I don't really like to say leads because, it's a bit of a buzzword, and realtors don't enjoy that word either. So I've got a handful of clients now. But yeah, like I said before, I definitely love, helping people from that first meeting, that first call, through to that close.
Cool. Sick, man. That sounds very good. Very good.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's, a good sort of,
it's a good foundation. So you said you only actually started your own agency the beginning of this year?
Yeah. So I started actually the day of my birthday, on the 14th of January. I've got a handful of clients, and I think the biggest thing with my clients is that I've got really good relationships with them, right? So I could tell you all about them. I could tell you about their family, where they're from, their vacation.
It's the same with me, man. That's the same with me.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
So
and you have to be, right? Like, you have to be invested in what they're doing, right? Because if you're, there's so many agencies out there, it's like, okay, how are you going to separate yourself from the next one?
Yeah, exactly. And that's one thing that I've always been about, is customer service. And, I'd rather have one client that I work with for 4 months religiously, and then they refer me on to someone, rather than having 10 clients, and, you don't even know their first name. So I totally appreciate that.
Exactly.
So talk to me sort of about sort of what motivates you, because you could have easily just sort of stayed at Nike, just stayed on that flat line, and sort of just moved on. But there's obviously something inside of you that's driven you to take that sort of leap.
It's a really good question, actually. So I was thinking about this, over the weekend, and I think it's more like, what motivates me is seeing people get results, right? Is like, the other day I got a message, at 7 o'clock in the morning, from a guy from the UK, actually, who just landed his first client.
Okay, cool.
And, it wasn't a huge retainer. I think it was about £400 or so.
Yeah.
Which, I think in Australian dollars is about 900 or so, $900, somewhere around there. Okay. And, it's awesome. Like, first client, he's just started this, and I read this message, and I was like, this is just made my day, right? Like, it's just giving me so much energy. Like, I'm so excited, it's awesome. So that definitely motivates me, like, seeing other people, hit their targets, right? Because, of course, that's, that could potentially, change his whole, I don't want to say his whole life, but it could change like where he is at the moment, right? Like, what he wants to achieve, right? Like, what his goals are. And this guy, he wants to go more down like the music market, and sort of hit that music industry. And, I was just like, oh, this is the perfect start, right? You start here, like, get some really good testimonials, get some awesome results, and then you can kind of like dive a little bit deeper into there. But I guess going back to like what motivates me is, I think it is ultimately just like providing as much value as I can, right? Like, learning as much as I can from, whether it's like podcasts or videos or teachers, mentors, like whatever, just becoming an absolute sponge, and then like, just relaying what I know back to other people, so that they can kind of have the I guess the knowledge of what I have, right?
while you sort of just touched on that, and I know you've actually spoke to me about you sort of setting your own sort of thing up. So I'll give you this sort of chance to talk about that. But you know, if you could just sort of, you know, let's just keep it very, very broad in terms of courses, books and stuff like that. Obviously, what's been up here when it comes to sort of knowledge that you've gained, that you've sort of you know, you've paid out for, and it's because a lot of people, like, they don't, obviously a lot of people know they need to invest, but it's like, okay, what should I invest in? So what's you know, was it courses that got you to where you are now? Is it books? What stands up at the top for you?
Again, I was actually thinking about this afternoon, and I think, like, you have to just go to a bunch of different platforms, right? And obviously just find people that you gravitate towards naturally. So don't go to YouTube and listen to 50 different people. Don't go to a podcast and listen to, you know, 25 different podcasts, right? Like, okay, stick to 2 or 3 in YouTube, stick to 2 or 3 with your podcast, 2 or 3 with if you're following someone on Instagram, and likewise with Facebook, and the same with groups, right? Because if you don't, then you're going to have all this. If you have 50 different, you know, like, people telling you different things, they're going to contradict and they're going to conflict. So it's important to kind of find those different ones. But I find podcasts, I mean, I don't think there's any like one real main thing. I just think it's finding someone who you naturally, find authentic, or find that kind of who resonates with what you're about, right?
Yeah.
I think that's kind of the thing that I like. But I mean, in terms of like bigger entrepreneurs, like Sam Ovens is a really good one to learn from. Like Jordan Belfort.
I've never watched any of his stuff, by the way. Just going to throw it out there. Never.
Yeah, so he's really good. He's very long and he's very drawn out, and he's a little bit like, he doesn't have that much emotion.
It's the I doubt he'd ever see this, but it's the ads that I always see, and you're just like, oh, really like. This is my office at consulting.com. They say I shouldn't have a motorbike. Who the fuck says that you shouldn't have a, like, I don't think that's ever come out of someone's mouth. You shouldn't have a motorbike in your apartment. Go on.
He's he's a different cat, but maybe that's why I like him, because he's a little bit weird.
Yeah, of course.
I'm a little bit weird, so maybe that's kind of why I'm drawn to him. But like, he's a really good one, and he draws out very much what he talks about, and like, he gets to his point very late. But another one is like, Jordan Belfort's very good. But even a lot of the old salespeople, older books are great. One that I'm reading at the moment is The One Thing by Gary Keller, which is, a sensational book. Would highly recommend that to anyone. I guess, like I said before, you just have to kind of draw to people that you like, and if it is Gary Vee at the end of the day, then so be it. Like, listen to what he has to say.
Yeah, sure. Wicked, man, wicked. So you said you did just touch on some books. Would it be possible to get like the top 2 books from you?
Oh, okay. That's a tough one. Okay, so I think in terms of like motivation and like really starting something, I would think you should read Total Recall, which is Arnold Schwarzenegger's autobiography. I know that's a little bit like, I'm sure there's a lot of people who have read that.
That's sick.
But
I love that.
Haven't read it?
No, I've never read it, and I love asking people about books, because some people are like, I don't fucking read books. Well, you're wasting your time reading books. And then some people say like, your bog standard, typical, like, like your fucking entrepreneur sort of books. And then some people say like the complete opposite, like a story book that just clicks something in their head. So yeah, that's great that it's an autobiography.
Yeah, I would 100% recommend that to anyone, right? Because the amount, like, everything that he says he is going to do, he does. And not only does he do it, he does it to like the absolute like highest point, right? To like the apex of whatever it is. So you want to be the bodybuilder. He was, 5-time, 6-time bodybuilding world champion. He wanted to be in government, like he was governor of California.
Yeah.
Like best actor in Hollywood, like when he could hardly speak English. Like the guy's he was just a freak, right?
Yeah.
And like hearing his story as well, it's just it's a phenomenal book. That's definitely one. Another one I would say, I'm trying to think of another really, really good book. I mean, I've got so many. I mean, I would actually recommend, the One Thing, right, by Gary Keller. I haven't even finished it yet, and every chapter I'm just like this is crazy good. Like this just all makes absolute complete sense. So Gary Keller, for a bit of background, he owns Keller Williams, which is a massive real estate agency in the States. I think it's number one or certainly number two. And he just talks about, keeping, the main thing, which is what Sam Ovens always talks about, which I think he got that from Gary Keller. But it's just like focus on one thing at a time, right? Like you can't focus on 25 different things because you spread yourself thin, and your focus won't be on that one big goal. So those two books I would recommend. I've got a library in my room, but I actually can't think of anything really off the top of my head.
That's perfect, man. That's perfect.
Yeah.
That's cool. Even both of those books I've never read, so definitely that's good for me. What about sort of? I'm going to go back into sort of like the systems and stuff like that. What about sort of like really breaking it down to the basics? iPhone apps. Any sort of on a day-to-day? Is there any sort of iPhone apps that that sort of stand out to you that you use on a regular basis, or you couldn't live without, to say?
I actually got rid of a lot of my apps. Sick. At the start of the year, I had a whole bunch, just like all these different, random ones that you download. I had ones that I, from university that I downloaded. I had ones that, I had the Aura one, but actually, I got rid of that.
What, the ring thing?
No, the other one, AURA.
Okay.
It's that? It helps with like meditation.
Cool. Yeah.
But I just got rid of so many. I've only got a handful now. And the one that I actually use is on books. It's owned by Amazon. It's called Goodreads.
Okay.
So basically, all I really use it for is just compiling a list of books that I want to read, right? Instead of just writing them down or trying to memorize them. It just, you can go through, you can find by author, by title, and just select want to read. So anytime I want to order books, I just go through that app, order, a bunch, and super easy.
Sick, man, sick.
Other than that, I'm kind of trying to keep my apps limited.
Okay, cool. To sort of go into that, because obviously I do a lot of stuff like mobile, being sort of on the go and stuff like that. I wanted to go sort of into like softwares and systems. So, especially with like your digital marketing agency, what sort of softwares, are in your top 5 that you genuinely, you wouldn't be able to run your business without? Because I know hands-on that, there's softwares and systems that I have in place where, they probably reduce my work day by, hours.
Yeah. The biggest tool that I would use, which I'm sure a lot of people do, but they try and like fast track it, or they try and use like other tools, but using LinkedIn Sales Navigator, like I think it's $70 a month, which is a little bit pricey, but like the amount of value that I get out of that, like literally before I blasted out, 50 messages that I knew that were going like direct, that I knew I was going to connect. I don't use I'm not big on Leonard because I've obviously been hearing
that's the automation software for LinkedIn. That's the
cool.
I've never used that either, so it's interesting.
So and I did use Leonard before, and I found it okay, but I would stick to just like within.
It's more authentic LinkedIn as well, right? Like sending a personal message, and
you're not going to you don't have the like LinkedIn aren't going to ban you because you're using their Sales Navigator, whereas Leonard, like potentially they could catch on to that, and your account could get banned. And I've got over 2,000 connections on LinkedIn, and like that's definitely where I do a lot of my lead generation now is stems from there. If you are thinking of reaching out to business owners directly, then certainly use Sales Nav.
If you don't mind me sort of like just more so like just picking your brain about that as well, because I use LinkedIn, but I don't use it to the extent I probably should. So what's your what's your strategy with LinkedIn, if you don't mind me asking? Like,
so
go in and just send X amount of messages, or is it content based?
The last probably 2 weeks I've sent out a bunch of messages, and a lot of them are like copy and paste messages. Like I'm not going to lie, and they're purely like conversational. Like hey, this is what or it's more so just a question, right? Like a just general question, not about their marketing, not about anything. It might be something like, hey, for real estate agents, like, do you find a lot of your potential clients through, referral based or networking or word of mouth? How are you kind of getting these leads?
Yeah.
And not every realtor will reply.
Yeah, of course.
But something like that, it's just purely conversational, and then that's how I sort of generate that conversation, right? So, we get into what they're doing and how they're kind of doing it, and more so, a little bit more about them, right, and how they're kind of operating it as a business. So, or if they are the business owner or not, or if they're just a realtor. So then from there, I'll get on the call, do that discovery, and then from there, then you have that presentation, and that's when you go through the close. So that's kind of my, I guess, 3-step kind of process.
Sorry, just to quickly jump in as well. So obviously, you've basically said LinkedIn is LinkedIn sort of your main sort of outreach at the moment. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Do you do, just to pick your brain a little bit? Do you do any sort of cold calling at the moment, or have you sort of settled down into sort of like the messaging approach?
I haven't done any cold calling because I work not strictly, but primarily with realtors in the US. So it's just by the time I call or do a lot of that, it's pretty late here. So I would rather just focus on that messaging, because then they can reply in due course.
Yeah.
But I guess another thing I want to say is that, just because I say that LinkedIn's working for realtors doesn't mean that it's going to work LinkedIn for, let's say, gym owners, or let's say, chiropractors or dentists or whatever the case, right? Like you just kind of have to test all the different platforms and see which one has a more response rate or more open rate, and then kind of focus on that. So I was doing a lot of cold emailing before, and I was like, wasn't catching anything with cold email. I was changing up the copy. I was putting in like a little bit of humor. I was putting in like a picture of myself, like just doing all these different things. And I was like, man, like none of this is landing. So then I went to LinkedIn and I just started, keeping it purely conversational. And that's when, I got a bit of traction. I was like, okay, well, let me just focus now just on this. And I did Instagram DM, I did Facebook messaging, like I did a whole bunch of different things, and just found that LinkedIn worked a little bit more. And that's just for what I think is realtors in the US. But again, definitely test this. It's not a blanket rule, but I've just found this to work, and this is the method that I have kind of gone down.
Okay, cool. So I know you didn't say. I know you said you don't want to talk about leads and stuff like that, but like for me, I'm very much so like the sort of like content creation side, in terms of like graphics, videos and stuff, and a big part of my business is the lead generation, or bringing in potential customers. But I'm very much so like I love doing like the graphic design and stuff like that. What would you say is like your main love for what you're doing? Is it the systems you set to get the leads? Is it the designing? Is it the relationship side with your customers?
I think definitely the latter. I think it's more so when a client comes back to me and says, "Hey Alex, like we just closed this deal." So one guy, he closed. It wasn't a big house. I think he closed a deal that was 260 odd K for him.
For the house. Services, though, right?
Yeah. So from a lead that I had brought him, came through his CRM system.
Sick.
He obviously qualified. He did everything on his end.
Yeah.
But I of course knew who that lead was, and he told me who that lead was that had come through the ad, and he closed on them, and then he sent me a message like just like thanking me, and was really content. And again, like, I'm not going to see, I don't work on a commission of what he makes. I'm retainer per month. But what he, the message that he sent to me was just awesome. I was just like, this is kind of what makes my day, right? Like just getting them results, and knowing that what I'm doing is kind of like assisting them with their financial goals, or just their goals in general, right? Like whether, I think this guy actually wants to go, he wants to go to, his girlfriend is really fixated on Lake Como, which is in Italy.
Okay.
And they want to kind of save for that, and go there. So he was like, this, obviously that helps to that goal. And I kind of like made a joke out of it as well.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm sure this is going directly to the Lake Como savings account.
Yeah. Well, so sorry, just to get like a little bit of a back end, because obviously everyone has their different approaches on how they do things. What sort of systems do you put in place to generate leads for these people? For anyone that's sort of like completely out of the norm, have absolutely no idea how you would do that for someone.
So it's purely I bring in those leads, or like I said, I don't really love to use that word, but the potential clients for them, just through their listings, right? So through whatever house they're selling or whatever their what offer they have. It might be a free valuation. Kind of depends if they're working with buyers or sellers, whatever the case is, right? So I'll put that ad out. For me, the ad, I monitor it through a white label agency, so I don't actually execute everything for the ad. I don't want to spend, I'm not the type of person that wants to spend 12 to 14 hours in the back end of Facebook, like, tweaking everything and making sure everything's optimized into its absolute standard. Like there's people out there who are a lot more well educated in that space. So I kind of just walk and talk them through that. We have a handover over meeting, and then they'll execute on that work, and then that lead will come through directly to their their CRM or their inbox, right?
Yeah, cool.
So I always stress to my clients, like, speed to lead is key. Like I can bring you, let's say 10 or 20 clients or whatever, or leads or whatever the case, but you have to be quick on getting in contact with them. Like there's only so much I can control at the end of the day, or us as agency owners can control at the end of the day.
Yeah, of course. Mm-hmm. Wicked, man, wicked. Well, that's great, man. Perfect. It sounds good. So what's your sort of what's your goals sort of like moving forward? Because I've had you on today, I've obviously had a lot of different people on, and everyone I sort of spoke to it's more so for me, it's the relationship side, and because I'm the same, I just want to see other people do well, and it does motivate me, and I hope by putting this content out, we're just speaking generally, but hopefully someone lands on this video and thinks, okay, there's opportunity for me other than sort of kind of working in McDonald's. So what's your sort of goals moving forward? Because I'd love to have you on sort of the end of the year and hopefully say that we've checked those off.
Honestly, like, my goal is to help as many people get from that first meeting or that first call through to that close. Like, if I can help, I've helped, I don't know how many so far, but if I can try and hit like 100 by the end of the year, if I can try and hit, I don't want to put like any brackets around this, because I love jumping on calls and helping people transition through that. So if I am to put a quantifiable, let's say 100 people, right? Let's say helping 100 people get their first client, right? And I love it. Like, I know that I can do it. It's just about, I would love, for more people to reach out to me and be like, hey, Alex, like, teach me kind of how to do this, or show me what your processes are.
Cool. Sweet, man. Perfect. Well, thank you very, very much for coming on. And it's been awesome, and thank you, very much. It's been been a pleasure, and if there's anyone out there who's listening, you can find me on Facebook. So it's Alex Barbas, Barbas, or just through or just through Instagram. But like, we'll honestly like drop what I'm doing to help. Sick, man. Sick.
In that close.
Perfect. Well, it's been a pleasure, and we're definitely arrange something, even if we come back on and we actually speak about a specific topic or something along those lines. Take it away from the interview sort of thing, and maybe we get on and we talk about some topics and stuff like that. Cool, man. Yeah. Well,
awesome, man.
Thanks again for coming, and I'll see you soon.
Been a pleasure. Yeah, likewise. Chat soon, mate. Thank you.
Take care, man.